Welcome to the shooting show. This week it's a triple bill. First up, we're in the Highlands at walked up grouse, followed by a duck flight. Then after the news, Byron takes us to Namibia to show us what Norma ammunition can do. We're in Highland heaven as Mark Shone has lined up a walked up grouse day on Glen Etive estate and an evening duck flight on his home ground. First up, the iconic grouse. No driven grouse here as the heather is sparse and the grouse few and far between. But this is wild country in a wild land, and just being here is reward enough. Okay, slightly unorthodox method of getting over the river to get at the grouse. I'm using the old stag box here at Glen Etive, but the good news is, if the boards go through, it's quite a deep pool underneath it.
Every cloud.
He of little faith. You'll be alright. Okay, today I'm using the 525 Browning light. As it says on the tin, it's a light gun. It's great for walked up shooting. I use it for all my walked up grouse, snipe and ptarmigan shooting. The cartridges I'm using today is Express Supreme Grouse, 29 gram, 6.5 shot. Absolutely perfect for the job in hand.
Right, we're just going to line out up the edge of the barn here, and then we're going to take it up the hill in a big loop, and then we'll probably stop for some lunch. And then after lunch we're going to line out again and go right along the hill and come back to this sort of spot, and we'll brave the crossing again, and hopefully no one will fall in. But we'll stop for lunch up there somewhere, and then we'll line out.
Walked up grouse days aren't known for producing massive bags, but they're a fantastic way to enjoy a day's sport without needing a second mortgage. Our camera follows publishing duo Ruth and James in the gun line, and we soon flush a pair past James and his waiting barrels.
Shot!
At the second time of asking, it's success. The dogs spring into action for the retrieve. Then we can continue working the ground. It's been tough but enjoyable, and we finished the day with but a solitary brace. But this is less a numbers game and more about the full experience of being out in the Highlands.
Okay, so since we saw a pair earlier, we've been right up high to the bottom of the scree. We've seen no more, so we had lunch and now we're sort of winding our way back down. We've got a bit just riverside of a bit of a pond, and then we're nearly back at the vehicles.
Yeah, so we only managed to get a brace today, but you know, we all appreciate the sport, and you know, this time of year, I mean, we're sort of getting well through September. The birds tend to get a bit jumpier, yeah, so a lot of what we did see got up way off in front. James managed to pick a couple out, which was good. So at least we got something.
The walked up grouse shoot may be done, but Mark has kindly arranged an evening duck flight. But first it's time for an early meal before we head out once again and try a look at the ducks. Mark gets the guns into position just as the light begins to fail. James was the luckiest gun earlier, so he sent the cameraman off to hurl up with him.
It's now about 20 minutes, half an hour before it's dark, and we're down here at the duck pond, hoping to get a few as they come in for the night. Yeah, there's not been a frost to speak of up here yet this year, and hence the reason for the midge protection. They are pretty vicious, especially just before nightfall as it is now.
The ducks are wary and don't seem to want to come into the pond, probably down to the cameraman, but thankfully fortune favours yours truly, and I managed to bring down a mallard drake to end what has been a very enjoyable day. Yeah, nice duck flight to finish the day really. Quite a lot of ducks came in. An early bird was high and he was just touching on range, but it was absolutely perfect for me, just how I like him. So up went the gun and bang, and down came the duck. After that there must have been 50-60 ducks came in, 5s, 10s, 15s. They were circling, there was something putting them off. It was a still night, not ideal conditions for duck flighting, but there was a good show of ducks. They just didn't want to come in. We let them go round and round, and they just stacked up really. But hey, great end to a wonderful day. Scratching some sport up in the Highlands there, and now it's the shooting show news.
This is the shooting show news. The Beretta Gallery is 10 years old. Launched in 2005 to help cement Beretta's position as a luxury brand, it's been a huge success over the years and benefited from a revamp earlier this year. The gallery's exclusive anniversary event also saw the launch of Game Fair News, the UK Game Fair's new trade paper. If you're in the gun trade, your copy should be with you now. BASC has hosted a meeting of hunter conservationists from across Europe. FACE, the umbrella group for hunting organisations, descended on BASC HQ to discuss hunting's contribution to biodiversity and conservation. A BASC spokesperson said the meeting showed how highly Britain was regarded when it comes to shooting and conservation. And the delegates got to try wildfowling while they were there, proving it's not always a hard life in politics. Gun dog thefts are still on the rise. That's the message from Gun Dog Theft Awareness Week, which took place last week. There's been a 14% rise on last year, with 361 Cocker Spaniels and 465 Labradors reported stolen so far. Gun Dog Theft Awareness said it was pushing for compulsory scanning legislation to be introduced to help reunite missing dogs with their owners. For all your gun dog training tips and tricks, get iShoot magazine every month. And finally, there's been Olympic shooting controversy as one Olympic qualifying event has been struck off the list. The Asian Shooting Championships, which are about to begin in Kuwait, will no longer offer any Olympic quota places or recognise qualifying scores. This comes after an official delegate was denied a visa by Kuwaiti officials, and Kuwait was suspended from IOC activities because of governmental interference. Keep up with Olympic developments in Clay Shooting magazine. That was the Shooting Show news.
I'm lucky enough to be back in Africa, on the hunt for plains game with some of the world's best hunting journalists. But there's a specific reason for the trip. We are field testing the new EcoStrike bullet from Norma.
This bullet we have developed is what we call the EcoStrike. It's a lead-free bullet, which we have developed, and the idea behind it is to have a bullet with good features also at lower speed, and still strong enough to be able to shoot big game. So at this trip we have been shooting mainly oryx and wildebeest to see how well it works. This bullet is made of pure copper, and it has been turned. And we have also a pre-fragmentations inside the cavity, the drilled cavity, and we have also applied a coating of nickel to reduce the fouling issue. The cavity is a little bit bigger than you normally find on lead-free bullets, but this is to ensure that we have a good function also on lower speed, like in the 308 at longer distances.
I've had my turn to stalk earlier in the week. Now I'm behind the camera, following German hunter and editor Peter Diekmann on a stalk for oryx. This is a foot stalk over a wide swathe of Namibian terrain, and it's not easy going. With no initial success, I grab a ride down the road to catch up with Jens, who's had some better luck.
I shot a jackal at about 100 meters and a blue wildebeest at about 130, and I shot a big warthog. 3 shots, very efficient bullet. It's not a small game bullet. The jackal had a big hole in it, but the larger animals were actually, it was a really nice effect on those. To me, it must be a very efficient bullet for traveling hunters like myself. I see a lot of effect in the impact, so I've been very satisfied with the bullets actually.
Later that day, I head out again with Peter, and this time he gets his oryx. Couldn't get the shot on camera, but we do manage to film the short follow-up afterwards. The EcoStrike ammo has clearly made a good exit wound, and there's a strong blood trail to follow. The animal never made it very far, and Peter soon recovers it.
I don't think the bullet was made for African game. It was actually made for European, especially I think for the German market, for driven hunts and everything, because the law situation is changing in Germany, and we have to get along with those lead-free ammunition, and I think that's the reason why Norma invented that bullet. But we came here to Africa because the animals here are very strong, to test it on oryx and wildebeest. It was very interesting to see if the bullet hits through the shoulder and if there is an accident wound. So in my case, until now I was shooting 2 animals, 1 oryx and 1 wildebeest, and I had, with both animals, I had these exit wounds, but I have to say that both animals were shooting on very short distances. It's a good bullet with enough power to shoot even those bigger animals.
I think the main user is of course the European hunter, and but also the results we have had on these really tough African games show us that it's also a bullet that is well suited for African hunting. I feel very happy with the results we have received so far, and the animals normally doesn't go particularly far after being hit. We have shot a big variety of different game, and all of them are, if you place the shot in the right position, they will be harvested for sure.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And if you're not a member of Basque, it's time to join now. Basque, looking after your sport, looking after you. This has been The Shooting Show.